Today I'm at the Great American Spice Company Test Kitchen with Chef Jeff Bunting, Program Chair of Ivy Tech. We're going to deep fry a turkey today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And we're going to use some injection marinades from the Great American Spice Company. But before we get started, I thought we might cover some safety tips. When it comes to deep frying a turkey, what are the rules?
Always deep fry outside. Always make sure that the kids are nowhere in sight, pets out of sight. One of the other important things is to make sure that the oil is always 4 to 6 inches below the top of the pot. And
What should the temperature of the oil be before you put the bird in?
usually about 350, and you want to maintain about 350. If the oil falls below 300 degrees, a lot of times the turkey will start to absorb the oil, and you get kind of a greasy turkey.
So you should always have a thermometer in the oil, as well as have one handy to test the temperature of the bird when you take it out, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get started. Okay, Chef, now we've washed the bird and removed the innards. Mm-hmm. What's next?
We're going to take the plastic piece out that holds the legs together here.
Okay.
And then we're going to take the wings off because we're going to go ahead and rub those and cook them separately from the whole turkey.
Because those will be done first, right?
They'll be done in about 10 or 15 minutes.
So we get a snack before we get the bird.
Exactly right.
Excellent. Now, before we marinate the bird, we need to figure out how much oil to put in the pot, right?
That's exactly right.
And what's the best way to do that?
Best way to do it is to drop it into the pot with the holder. Drop it into the pot. Okay, and we're going to fill it up with water about 1 inch. About 1 inch above the legs. Okay. And that's going to help us determine just how much water we're going to need in there, or how much oil we're going to need in there.
No matter if it's hot or cold water?
It should be cold water.
Okay, we're about 1 inch of water above the legs. Now what?
Okay, yeah, you can see that the bird is completely submerged, and we're also going to check to make sure that we're at least 3 inches from the top, and we are. Okay, so now the next step to determine how much oil, because the turkey's going to displace quite a bit of oil. So we're going to pull the turkey back out. Make sure that all the water's out of it. And then we're going to measure once again. And we're at about 6 1/4 inches. So now we're going to dump the water out, thoroughly dry the pot, and then we know now how much oil to add. We're going to add oil until we're at 6 1/2 inches from the top.
Now, what rub did you pick?
We picked the Big Girl rub. It's got brown sugar, salt, paprika, garlic, onion.
So a little hot, little sweet?
You got it.
Just like Big Girl.
That's right. We'll go pretty liberal on it, and then we'll rub it in.
Now, is there a rule of thumb on how much to use? Should the skin turn a darker color with the rub color?
Yeah, a little bit. You don't want to go too crazy because there is quite a bit of salt in the mixture. So, just enough so that you can see it covering pretty well, and that should do the trick. And then once you get it on there, rub it in real well, and then we'll let it sit for about a half an hour to marinate before we fry them.
Now, Chef, you keep changing gloves because obviously poultry safety is important to avoid
Salmonella is an issue, yes.
So always keep your workspace clean, wash as much as possible, change gloves if you choose to wear gloves. So now we're going to move on to the injection marinades, right? Mm-hmm. Now, American Spice carries a lot of different options, but which one are we doing today?
We're going to do a salt-free Cajun turkey injection marinade.
Nice. So what are our steps? What do we do?
We're going to take the contents of this package. It's already measured out and ready to go. It's 4 ounces. You mix this with 2 cups of warm water so that everything can dissolve really well.
Okay. Obviously, stir everything till it dissolves, and you can use either a fork or a whisk, right?
You got it, yes. Okay, we have 2 different meat injectors that we can use here. A little bit more friendly version here. It's not quite so big, and the holes on the surface of the needle are big enough to allow the herbs and the spices to go through easily. And then we also have a much larger one. If you're doing several turkeys at a time, you can get one of these, and these are available at American Spice Company. Get down there where the herbs aren't. Okay, now with the injection marinade, you want to take about 60% of it and inject it into the breast. and the rest of the remaining 40% goes into the thighs and the legs. So
Is that just because of the concentration of the meat is in the breast?
exactly. And the breast typically is drier than the thigh is. So you want to get a little bit more marinade in there.
Now, are you shooting it directly into the meat, under the skin, both?
You want to go into the meat. If you go too close to the surface where the skin is, when you get it into the fryer, you're going to have trouble with splattering. Place the meat injector in several different parts of the breast and just a little bit at a time.
Now, the 2 cups of marinade is enough to do how large a bird?
That's enough to do a bird that's about 15 pounds, but you don't really want to go much more than 15 pounds because what happens is if the bird's too big, it'll get too brown on the outside before it gets done on the inside.
Now, for those who've never deep fried a turkey before, what do you think are some of the benefits to deep frying a turkey?
I think one of the biggest benefits is that it's done very quick. This will be done cooking in 45 minutes to an hour, so it gives you more oven space. It's something different, and it makes a really nice, juicy turkey.
Okay, now we've had the marinade in for about a half hour. Is that the normal amount of time?
Yep, and the turkey's been sitting out with the marinade in it for about a half an hour at room temperature.
Allowing the meat to absorb the flavors of the marinade.
And the temperature of the turkey's going to rise a little bit, and that will help prevent some splattering when you put it into the fryer.
And let the skin dry a little bit so you don't have splatter also, right?
That's exactly right.
Now we need to put it on the rack.
You got it. Okay, you always want the legs up. Okay, and it'll rest on the bottom. And lift it up and make sure that it's sitting somewhat level,
Okay.
and you should be good to go.
So you don't need to tie off the legs or anything at all?
Nope.
Great. Well, let's go cook this bad boy in those wings we cut off earlier.
All right, sounds good.
Let's go. And always cook outside with a deep fryer, right?
Yes, for sure.
Now we got to thoroughly dry the turkey, right, Chef? We don't want any water mixing with the hot grease.
Definitely want it to be very dry, yes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and drop it in.
Okay.
Very, very important that you drop it in very slowly. And I cannot specify that, or I cannot urge you enough to drop it very, very slowly.
Don't want any third-degree burns on Thanksgiving Day.
Exactly right. Because when you first start dropping it in, the bird is wet, and it's going to splatter a little bit. So the slower you go, the safer you are. So you can see the oil is kind of starting to,
Up through the cavity?
yeah, up through the cavity. So that's where people run into trouble, because if you drop it down too fast, it's going to start shooting out of the cavity. You just have to really be careful there.
Chef, what kind of oil are we using here?
This is canola oil. You want to use an oil that has a real high smoke point and a neutral flavor.
Now, one of the fascinating things you shared with me earlier is, despite popular belief, this actually eliminates a lot of the fat in a turkey.
It can, as long as the temperature is above 300 degrees. The turkey shouldn't absorb a whole lot of oil, and the good thing about it is the skin on the outside where a lot of the fat is will actually, the fat will actually render out and become kind of part of the canola oil, and you end up with a nice crispy skin that isn't too full of fat. And the turkey is, like I said, as long as the temperature is well above 300 degrees, somewhere between 300 and 350, 325 is good. But as long as it doesn't fall below 300 degrees, it shouldn't absorb very much oil.
Now, you can put the wings in either at the beginning or the end, but we're kind of choosing that we're hungry, and we'd like a snack first.
That's right, I want a
So let's
snack.
put those in now, because how long will those take, Chef?
10, 15 minutes.
Let's go.
All right. Again, nice and slow so that the oil doesn't boil over.
Well, we're back from the cold, and we're hungry. We're going to snack on these turkey wings now. Now, we did a dry rub to start, but we're going to bump them up a little. What are we going to do?
We're going to make some hot wings, and we're just going to use one of the sauces American Spice has. This is a Jim Beam original wing sauce, so we're going to go ahead and put a couple of them in the bowl here.
Great.
Pour a little bit of sauce over the top. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give them a toss in this sauce here. And go ahead and give it a try.
That is good. Good stuff. Well, Chef, it looks like it's about done. How long have we been cooking?
It's been cooking about 1 hour.
1 hour?
Yep.
Great. Let's take it out and see what it looks like. Oh, it looks beautiful.
Pull the bird off.
Yeah, I'm gonna lift it.
So it should be just a straight lift shot right off the hook, right?
That's exactly right. Once it's cool enough to handle, you can pull it right off.
But you should let it set a few minutes.
Definitely. Anytime you roast a turkey or deep fry a turkey or any type of meat, you need to let it rest for probably 5 or 10 minutes at minimum. If it's much larger than that, maybe even 15, 20 minutes. That's a little bit red. What I want to do is go horizontally in the breast here. Towards the center, and then we're going to take thin slices this way so that we're cutting against the grain.
Does that make for a tender bite of turkey?
Yes, it's going to be a lot more tender if you slice it this way than if you cut it the other way.
Oh, Chef, this looks great. We've got to eat some of this now. It just smells great for those of you who can't smell it at home. Smells awesome, looks great. That skin is crispy, brown, looks delicious. Can I jump in?
Sure, please. Dig in.
I'm ready to taste them.
Oh. Go in, Barry.
I will. Juicy with a crunchy skin, delicious.
Now, Barry, is this your favorite marinade, or do you have a particular favorite at American Spice
No, that
Company?
is definitely my favorite one. That's why I kind of recommended it.
If you want to try injection marinade for your turkey this year and want to learn more tips about deep frying your turkey, contact the Great American Spice Company today.